Hello everyone and welcome to our channel. Today we have a special guest, Marina. She is a Web3 growth specialist, passionate about innovative tech, privacy, and decentralization. During the last 10 years, she was leading marketing, BD, growth, activities at dozens of Web3 companies, including Dapper Labs, Flow Blockchain, NIM Technologies, Status App, Woku Protocols, and others. Currently, Marina is growth lead at Institute of Free Technology Venture Studio and focusing on scaling Code's decentralized storage network. The last 4 years, Marina has been focusing on scaling privacy-preserving projects, which was the reason for her to become a privacy and cypherpunk advocate herself. Welcome, Marina, and thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me today, and thank you for this kind intro.
You're welcome. I love to have you back in Berlin and now live.
Yeah, it was fantastic to meet you. It was actually a very great event. So thank you, Blockchain Berlin Week, for connecting us.
Thank you. Thank you. I am honored to have you here. And for those of you who are new to the world of cryptocurrencies, this interview will be a great introduction for some of you, some key ideas and history that have shaped the digital world we live in today. So we are going to talk about the origins of the cypherpunk movement, and let's learn from Marina.
Excited to speak about it.
Okay, then let's go with the first question about the cypherpunk movement. Marina, for our viewers who are beginners, could you give us a brief introduction about how the cypherpunk movement started and what it is?
Sure. So the cyberpunk movement itself appeared in 80s, 90s. It was introduced by a group of scientists or even artists and technologists who advocated for the use of cryptography and privacy enhances technology as a tool to promote social and political change. Basically the same as we are still fighting for now. So the ideas behind the cyberpunk movement can be tracked back to the writing individuals such as David Chaum, who I had an honor actually to meet recently in Amsterdam. He was a speaker at Web3 Privacy Now event and during the ISDAM, amazing personality. You still can meet him around the leading blockchain conferences. So this author in early 80s pioneered the concepts of anonymous communication and digital currency through the project, which is well known as eCash. Which is evolutionarily, I believe, transformed the digital currency as we know nowadays. But the actual, I can't call it mainstream, but let's say the movement itself began after the cyberpunk medallions has started in 1992 by Eric Hughes, Timothy May, and John Gilmore. So these individuals, along with others like Julian Assange or Hal Finney, she was a female, by the way, which is great. Ray Dye were instrumental in advancing and popularizing cyberpunk ideas. And basically, the principles are still the same as our Web3 market having now. Is privacy. This movement is flat, that privacy is a human right. It have to be by default, and it is essential for personal autonomy and the freedom from surveillance. Cryptography, decentralization, transparency, freedom of speech, of course, and action over the talk. It means that we can talk as much as we want, but as soon as we actually do something, contribute somehow, to this ecosystem and society, no change is possible to happen.
Thank you so much. So, what are the core principles and goals of the cypherpunk movement, particularly in terms of privacy, cryptography, decentralization, and freedom?
As I mentioned, it's first of all decentralization. Back in 90s, it was circulating this expression that information wants to be free, right? Mm-hmm. It still wants to be free. The meaning by that it's like denying central authority. It's denying the governments, and it is like having this like total control over our information and our lives, and creating some sort of resistant movement, right? So it is impossible without the cryptography. We have great projects and companies helping this, such as Tor and other projects that help even to protect the metadata nowadays, and let it be anonymous online, and like liberty, free of speech, free of actually online living.
Thank you. I want to delve deeper into these questions because a lot of people, I think they are not even questioning all these principles, and people just accept things the way they are without even thinking what is privacy, what is self-sovereignty. Why should I care about this in internet?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I also notice that like lots of people say, I have nothing to hide. Why I should care about the privacy, right? But it's not about having nothing to hide. It's about choosing what to share. Like in your normal physical life, you would not like someone being in your house watching you what you're doing on your own, right? So why you would be feeling comfortable feeling this way when you're doing some things online? It's basically equal things, especially nowadays when everything is like so like online. So privacy is giving you this opportunity and right as a human to protect your information and what you share. For instance, in Web2, like this is actually, I think, a very essential part of Web3, because if you compare with Web2, we were generating content, right, for platforms, you could say like Instagram or Facebook or plenty of others, and generating income for them and having nothing to return. And we're giving away our privacy, not even actually even being paid for this. So there are like new ways of these platforms, of social platforms, right? That first of all you can monetize. So you can choose, okay, I'm sharing my data and I get paid for this. At least you're very well aware of what you're doing. But if you go like a step further and you have total right for this, for example, you don't want to share your data with anyone, this still should be an option. But it's not nowadays, unfortunately, since the moment you take in your mobile phone. When you turn your iPhone, like you have to agree all the terms and conditions, otherwise you will be not able to use your device. I'm not talking only about iPhone, I'm talking generally about any device out there on the market. So companies and software and the hardware don't give people nowadays an option to actually navigate and use products without any limitations and still be private. So this is why the last 4 years I've been focusing my career and working with companies who specifically working towards that goal to make it by default, like with like a human right. So people doesn't even have to understand what is behind, what's blockchain mean, or what's privacy mean, or how P2P messaging works, or what is metadata. But like they have to know that their information is secure, and they will reveal it only if they agree to relieve it. And so, but this is like stepping away a bit of the cyberpunk topic though, because with cyberpunk think that actually nothing should be relieved, right? And I'm a big fan of it because personally, I'm from Ukraine. I mean, I was born there. Last 10 years, I live in Spain. And I've been facing a lot of unfair situations, right? Like starting from surveillance and finishing corruption. So, yeah, thanks to blockchain technology and P2P communication, even nowadays, we see a lot of improvements and a lot of help during the war itself, how it can actually be benefiting the people. So I do believe it's just the start of developing of this movement.
I hope it is, because I also believe that we need more privacy and more rules to protect ourselves against tyranny and other issues that can affect our identity, our digital identities.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. So how did the principles of the cypherpunk movement inspire the development of Bitcoin and blockchain technology? Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
I mean, I think all of it was kind of actually like a basis, right, of the Bitcoin. Starting, yeah, again, like not to repeat myself, like cryptography, liberty, etc. Bitcoin was created not for the mistake in the year when the world experienced the worst economical crisis ever. So it was like kind of a sign, a solution for people to see, okay, there is a plan B, right? But then Bitcoin, because we cannot rely on the economic system. It shows that we cannot rely on the economic system how it is, and offer like a sophisticated solution. As I mentioned before, there have been developments such as like eCash previously. So
Okay.
it was slowly starting from developing from electronic cash to something more mature. And Bitcoin is such unique and its own. Just like the first reason, because nobody actually control it or own it, or like there is no CEO of this company. It's already amazing because there is like no human factor involved, right? And there's like limited amount, there's like perfectly mathematic code behind, and it gives you like a certain like golden standard in the industry. So like don't misunderstand me wrong, I'm not like a Bitcoin maxi.
Okay.
Nevertheless, I love Bitcoin, and I think most probably it will never like replace the cash that we have in. Probably it's gonna be some another crypto. Why? Because I think it's too precious, and I think people don't like to spend it. People like to hold it, like next to the heart. Because the supply, is limited, and it's just gonna keep growing in the price. This is like 100%, not a financial advice.
Okay.
So yeah, I know that there are a lot of concerns about like Bitcoin being acquired by like big companies,
Right.
institutional investors like BlackRock, etc. So I don't think it's actually a negative point. I think it's actually giving a lot of trust to the mainstream people, like to normies, I would say, to see that it's trustable source of investment. And generally, when people start to dig into it and see, okay, what's Bitcoin, what's blockchain, what's crypto, they get it more like in this cyberpunk ideas. So it's all connected, I believe.
Thank you, thank you. However, I have still some doubts about Bitcoin. Perhaps you transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain, everything is transparent, 100%. How is this private then?
Well, there is one thing is such as privacy, another thing is anonymity. It's like two different things, right? So you can be private, but you can be anonymous. It's this two things can coexist, and like Bitcoin is not the case for anonymity. Like you're still just a code. Nobody see, your name, your surname, where do you live. You don't normally, like there are ways not to pass KYC to acquire Bitcoin, for example, or to make a transaction. So it was never been promised that Bitcoin is anonymous, right?
Okay.
Monero
Okay.
is, for example.
Yeah, Monero is anonymous, but let's talk about Monero later. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay, thank you. So, Why do the principles of the cypherpunk movement remain relevant in today's discussions about digital privacy and surveillance at the balance between security and liberty?
I mean, because it's still what we're fighting for, right? Our Web3 community, Web3 world is still relevant because it's still the final goal is still not achieved. It's still not like mainstream. It's still like not in day-to-day life. That's why it's still relevant. We are still like building everything from scratch, and like technologies are still not technically, I think, enough developed to support and to be like a proper real alternative for some of the Web2 cases. But it's work in progress. And as I said before, like the more and more people join in this movement, just for the reason of different situations around the world, like starting from military conflicts, finishing economical things such as inflation and upcoming crises, you can see. So people still want to be free. This freedom is still not achieved. There are much more many tools that we could see in 90s, for example, but there is still like a long way to go. I hope not too long though.
Thank you. However, I am like a bit concerned and a bit confused, to be honest, because at the beginning I understood that all this Bitcoin movement started because we wanted our power back, and now it turns out like governments are starting to own and be part of this cypherpunk movement. Do you think the cypherpunk movement is still alive, or is this losing a little bit of the initial flavor?
Oh, it's absolutely alive, and as I said, it's keep growing, and it's just getting bigger. And you should not confuse like Bitcoin is one thing, like cyberpunk movement is absolutely different. People who's actually like the most well known in the cyberpunk movement, nobody actually know them. They keep it themselves like absolutely private. There are a lot of like really amazing places around the world called like hacker bases and yeah, it's pretty much in any big city, and they do incredible things together, and as I said, it's keep growing. Bitcoin was just like I would say, as a marketer, I can tell you like a nice promotion of the whole like peer-to-peer communication in general, like something easy to sell, I would say, right? But there is
Okay.
so much more behind it. Yeah, the idea is to give power back to people, but it's not only Bitcoin who can make this. There are many different technologies, many different like currencies and tools that can give you to make this happen. But Bitcoin inspired people, inspired masses, and the fact actually that my grandma know what Bitcoin is, it already means a lot. Like over, like I think until now, like 5% of population already aware of the term. It's a huge success. When I was starting into this world, like back in 2017, nobody
Mhm.
actually, well, in my circle, nobody knew what it is. And when you say, okay, I work with crypto, they're like, oh, you must be some criminal. So now everybody knows to work with crypto. Like, oh, can you give me like a financial advice? Can you tell me how to get rich tomorrow? You see the difference. And this was just like not even 10 years ago. So imagine like 10 years from now, it will be just like so normal, like to that you have option to pay with cash if it still exists, with a card and with crypto. Like crypto payments already like in so many places acceptable. So evolution, takes time. These things doesn't happen overnight. And what cyberpunk again like fight for is not for everyone to use Bitcoin, but it's actually people having understanding that what's happening around them, right? How information and the data is harvesting, and how you can resist it. in many ways. You don't have to be actually a programmer or a hacker to do so. As I mentioned before, like there are even like artists or writers or community builders, marketers. There are many ways you can contribute to the movement, to get involved. And even if you're just enthusiast, just extra educating your local community and your friends, it's already one step forward, the brighter future.
Thank you for bringing a little bit of clarity into my mind to this topic, because your idea that this was a good marketing strategy to bring people into Bitcoin gave me more idea of how all this started, and to differentiate the difference between, which is privacy, surveillance, and the balance between the security. So you said the cypherpunk movement stands for giving us tools, giving us humans the tools to protect ourselves and our privacy and enjoy our security and liberty, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a thought. I mean, nobody know actually, as you very well know yourself, who created Bitcoin, he, she, they, and why. I mean, why it's kind of obvious. But this is just a thought that even the fact that the founder or founders of Bitcoin stay anonymous is for the reason, and I think it's beautiful.
Right, it makes sense. So we are currently having issues with big data. Now the AI is emerging. How do current technologies like big data and AI challenge the ideas of the cypherpunk movement?
Well, there is a big problem around AI, right? And big data, especially because they collecting all this information. And I don't believe at this point already there is much you can do, especially, like after OpenAI, like in other like AI engines harvesting all the data possible. What is possible still to do is for the AI projects collaborate and partner up with privacy preserving projects. And these projects can provide like these engines that you can connect. And in this way, you can still use AI in the privacy preserving manner. Right. And I mean, there are like several examples of what can be done, but there are solutions out there. For the big data collection, I mean, yeah, like personally, for example, myself, like what I can suggest individually, like I don't have Siri on, like I don't have any smart home devices for the purpose that I don't like to be recorded 24/7. And if someone could answer your voice order, means that they always listening. But some people choose it for the comfort, right? And again, like it's up for everyone to choose what they do with their lives and their privacy, and how much interventions they want in their lives, how much targeted they want to be, like in terms of like ads on their everyday life and generally. But even talking this IoT, big data collection, if you do like smart plugins to like privacy preserving protocols or certain like blockchains, it's still possible to provide same services without sacrificing the privacy. The problem is that it's still like again we are on the very like beginner like green level in terms of like big corporation understanding the really need of the people. So first people have to come up with this need, and that's what we're fighting for. Yeah, for people to understand this need. It's slowly already happening, and by the statistics people are getting like really concerned. So what I like see in the future, in the very nearest future, don't call it a prediction, just my thought, that is going to be like lots of big partnerships between like very well-known Web2 names and privacy preserving companies in terms of kind of providing this like essential privacy for the users and still being able to use IoT devices and AI tools, which are nowadays everybody using it.
Thank you. Thank you for helping me to educate my audience about the need of protecting your rights and for helping me to understand more about this topic because it's so important since Web2 emerged. I think anyone or most people are not questioning where is their data going and who is using it and in which ways we are being used from these big data companies. Thank you so much.
I mean, if you have any more questions, feel free to reach me out. I can suggest tools and stuff.
Thank you. So now a personal question for your perspective. So does the cypherpunk movement still make sense in today's digital world? I know I asked kind of the same question before, but with the ongoing regulations, I feel really like we do not have and that like we do not enjoy this privacy, this freedom. And in my personal opinion, this is like they make us believe that we are free, but actually, in fact, we're not. What do you think about?
Well, you are right. We are not free, and it's like it's kind of talking nowadays in this digital age, right? And that is the reason why it's so relevant. Like, and especially with the rise of AI and also data collection, it's more relevant like never before. But I also think there's educational level of people also growing accordingly. So I'm very positive about the future, and from what I can see, again from the statistics, if you can read, I can send you over some reports. People like start to realize more because they're also becoming more tech savvy, and the new generations are basically born with technology in their hands rather than like us. I mean, like I don't know, how old are you? So I mean, I got my first phone when I was like 15 years old, and I like had nothing, like no idea. You know, I wasn't thinking what is like this data, and thanks God, like it was like no live streaming and etc. But kids are more aware of things, you know. So it's as relevant as never before. It's blooming as never before, and yeah, I think it has like the movement itself has a bright future, and I think we will come to the point when corporations and governments will have no choice but like provide us what we want, which is privacy.
Privacy and not only privacy, but freedom of speech,
Exactly.
freedom of like I give you an example, something that happened to me the last days. Like I got a message from this platform telling me we think your content is not appropriate. Because I was explaining the difference between an ETF and buying the real asset, like is to buy directly Bitcoin or Ethereum, and what is the effect when you buy directly, and what is the difference when you acquire an ETF. And I got a message like, we think
Wow.
you think your content is sensationalist and is not appropriate. And I thought, what?
So they're actually listening us now. Hi guys, join the cyberpunk movement. Well,
Yeah.
I hope this video still will be released.
I think there is the necessity for more platforms where people have freedom of speech and can actually talk about the ideas and talks that they really want to express, enjoy self-expression, because this is something that actually do not exist.
Yeah, I mean, after such an issue, you should definitely search for another platform, because this is like totally unacceptable. Like they literally like monitoring all the content, just not cool, you know.
Yeah, and now let's talk about Monero, and this is within the topic Monero and Bitcoin, two different things. So where do you see the privacy focused cryptocurrencies like Monero performing or going in this regulatory landscape, where we will be told what is appropriated and what is not?
Yeah, I mean, like as I said, like I see the bright future for it. Like I was in MoneroCon a few weeks ago in Prague, and I can tell like the community is like on the rise. There are lots of companies involved, lots of great people involved, and yeah, things are thriving, things are booming, and the fact that government trying to cut it so unfairly and heavily, for like for example, you know, recent suitcases against MoneroCon developer, etc. It's just a benefit for the industry. They just making it more motivating for people to join and resist, rather than to do what they want to do. So I think, you know, if they're already like so preoccupied to take such a drastic measures against really innocent people, that means that the industry is getting somewhere. It's my personal thought. It's not a thought of the any companies I'm working with.
And when you say getting somewhere, where could be that somewhere?
Excuse me?
When you are talking about that the industry of privacy is going somewhere, what do you mean by that?
As I said previously, it's going to the point when it have to be implemented by companies and provided by the users by default as a law, you know, as a part of the standard, not as like some luxury or the extra feature in your app, but by default.
Okay, thank you. So next question. And this one is about Peter Thiel, who has been the last day making a lot of controversy on Twitter. And he expressed concerns that the original ideological vision of Bitcoin as a decentralized and libertarian currency is being lost. Do you think Bitcoin is still embodies the cypherpunk principles it was founded on?
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's evolution has been go beyond in cyberpunk roots, right? And with its diverse stakeholders influencing its development. So while it's still like relevant to the privacy, decentralization, or the principles of the cyberpunk movement, it became something else. It became too mainstream. So things been moving like two different ways. Nevertheless, like the principles are still out there, and but the development and the evolution of the progress is something that cannot be stopped or controlled. And it doesn't mean that it was created for the wrong reason or bring the wrong values. It just means that evolution is solved like naturally by different type of crowds, if it makes sense. And for the Bitcoin holders and investors, as I mentioned earlier, when institutional investors come on board, you know, it's positively influences the price. So it's like, you know, two sides of one coin. Sorry. Can you can be bad. It is still privacy preserving. Yes. If it's anonymous, no. Is it 100% cyberpunky? No, maybe. But is it cool? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think Bitcoin is cool. Definitely. Thank you. Thank you for your answers. And now let's go to the final conclusion. I wanted you to please bring our community your special message. And since you are so passionate that and representing the cypherpunk movement, please send in a message and let them know why this is so important.
I mean, the message is kind of simple here. Like everyone choose a own way path. So I'm not pushing my opinions to nobody, but just be aware what's happening around you. Be aware where your data goes. Be aware what you're sharing on socials, especially, for example, if it's about your children and your family, because it can be used in so much bad ways. Everything you share. So yeah, be aware of what you're sharing. Be aware of what you're doing, and if you have any capacity whatsoever to join the resistance, please do and spread the knowledge around the world.